Today we'll be going through a character build for the Deranged Jester, a character designed to leave friends and foes confused as he entertains across the battlefield. Hi, I'm Yuval, and I will be going through core features of the build and discuss the decisions why they were chosen. We are starting with an elf of the Ordean ethnicity, who was taken and raised by Dark Fae as a young child. The woodland elf heritage was chosen as the Deranged Jester grew up in the First World in a place full of haunted woods. As to emphasize the connection with the First World, we're going with the otherworldly magic feat, and has chosen the Mage Hand cantrip. Mage Hand would assist the Deranged Jester in roleplay, whether to perform tricks or to threaten and create a sinister atmosphere. At 5th level, we are taking Forest Stealth to become hidden in one action, and this can help with mobility and survivability. During roleplay, this can assist in upping the terror and the creepiness by having a clown pop in and out of sight while chasing people throughout the forest. And at 9th level, Elf Step further helps with the mobility, allowing the Deranged Jester to get in and out of people's faces. The additional 5 feet of movement would also help the Deranged Jester avoid potential attacks of opportunity, or give him the head start to flee an unfavorable situation. The clown background was chosen to represent the Deranged Jester style of entertainment, albeit twisted by the Dark Fae. The Deranged Jester can be roleplayed as a mad clown or a sinister Cheshire cat, while performing skits, routines, and twisted gags. Of course, the source of the twisted mindset of the Deranged Jester was due to the Dark Fae who followed the Green Mother. Raised in an environment where raw thrill and desire are personified by the Green Mother, the Deranged Jester follows in her footsteps. As she is known as the canniest of the eldest, she has loyal agents who perform her deeds in the First World and beyond. I have chosen the Rogue class, and I have gone with the Scoundrel racket due to its leanings towards more charismatic skills such as deception and diplomacy. The improvement of the Scoundrel racket provides a change to the feint ability, having the chance on a critical success to make the target flat-footed on the rest of your turn allows you to apply more sneak attack damage and increases the damage output. The Deranged Jester would be doing feints that would include gags to catch opponents off guard and confuse them with a slippery movement. In addition, to further represent his connection to being raised by Dark Fae, I am giving him the Sorcerer dedication with the Fae bloodline. Out of this archetype, we are only going to be taking the basic bloodline spell to get access to fairy dust. The bloodline spell will be discussed further in the video with how it works with the Deranged Jester's kit. The Rogue class allows access to a lot of skills. Today we'll be looking at the core skills that make up the Deranged Jester's kit. First is Acrobatics to represent his finesse. He may interact with others while resting on a tree branch or waiting patiently on a lamppost before jumping down to scare the random passerby in the middle of the night. In addition, Acrobatics helps with the Deranged Jester dive into cover and disappear out of sight. Next we have Athletics to help the Deranged Jester get to his favourite places of scaring people. Climbing up a tree, jumping long or high distances, and tripping people require some form of athletics to accomplish. Deception is a core ability. The higher the skill is, the better chance that his feint will work on opponents during combat. In addition, the Deranged Jester will need to have a high deception in order to fool people into believing that he is a safe and nice person before either terrifying them or luring them into a trap for his own amusement. Diplomacy is a backup skill if the Deranged Jester gets into a tricky situation where he would need to use his silver tongue to waggle his way out of it, whether it's to sell information, waste time, or manipulate others. A clown must be able to perform, especially when introducing themselves on a unicycle or doing a skit face to face. You see the Deranged Jester, next thing you don't, with something maniacal and sinister disappearing from sight, no one is safe. Stealth helps the Deranged Jester foster fear to be harvested at the peak of terror. While the Deranged Jester likes to have its prey on the run, it would be no fun if they actually escaped, and so to make sure that the entertainment will come to a climax, the Deranged Jester will need to track their prey one way or another. And if that prey were to lock themselves in, just think of the terror when they see the door unlock and the handle slowly turn. Such options of creating suspense gives the Deranged Jester glee as they hope to find their prey cowering. The Deranged Jester will be using a dagger as his main form of attack. The dagger was chosen because it is a finesse weapon, as dexterity will either be our main stat or second behind charisma. The thrown trait is also important as it allows options that work with selected class feats. We are also talking about runes to add to the dagger to further improve its effectiveness in combat. The first rune is the returning rune, which will allow the dagger to attack from range multiple times in a round. The second rune is the wounding rune. Applying bleed damage on foes that are susceptible to the condition fits in with the theme of the Deranged Jester. And finally, the grievous rune. This rune works with the wounding rune, as the minus 5 feet movement penalty will apply when the target is hit. This works with the Deranged Jester, as he would enjoy watching his prey bleed and limp away. Moving on to armor, we have two options, leather armor and studded leather armor, depending on the initial stat spread. Studded leather armor is good if the character starts with a dexterity of 16, but overall leather armor will be good in the long run as it has less penalties. At level 5, with the ability score increase, it would be wise to switch to leather armor. The fundamental rune is also available at level 5, so there is no penalty starting with studded leather armor and then swapping over. Property runes for armors can be also transferred to other armor, especially where two core runes are accessible at level 3. The first is the Slick rune, giving a bonus to escape artist checks. When you think you've caught the Deranged Jester, he slips out of your grasp, or he wriggles his way through all sorts of pipes and tight spaces. The second rune is the Shadow rune, giving a bonus to stealth, further helps him with his style of play, disappearing and reappearing around the battlefield. And finally, we have the Invisibility rune. A single action to activate invisibility will help the Deranged Jester get out of tricky situations, or approach unsuspecting groups of travelers. The primary wondrous item is a Ventriloquist ring. This item gives a bonus to deception, further improving his feints in combat and his nefarious machinations. The spells chosen for the Deranged Jester are to heighten his ability to be creepy and bizarre to the common folk. Mage Hand was chosen, as mentioned before, to perform occult-like tricks such as moving a dagger in the air or levitating items like a poltergeist. Dancing Light is one of the two cantrips obtained when selecting the Sorcerer dedication. This spell was picked to help with the Deranged Jester's low light vision. Also, allowing him to sustain the spell at the distance of 120 feet away can lead to interesting traps and lures, especially in the middle of a dark forest. And Prestidigitation was the second cantrip obtained via the Sorcerer dedication. This works with the clown background, performing tricks such as colouring or lifting objects. Now on to gameplay, where I'll be going through the feats that were appropriate to be part of the Deranged Jester's combat kit. The first is Nimble Dodge, a defensive option allowing the Deranged Jester to just be out of reach of an opponent's attack. He takes glee as the enemy becomes frustrated that every attack misses. Next is the Distracting Feint feat, where it improves the Scoundrel's feint ability even more. In addition to the target becoming flat-footed, a penalty to their perception and reflex can lead to options of going into cover and hiding. It is unfortunate that a feint must be done in melee to the target, and the rogue class has limited options getting access to reach weapons. For that reason, the Magical Trickster feat was not chosen for the Deranged Jester. This kit relies on setting up the flat-footed condition independently. Most spells are range, and for the targets to be flat-footed, it relies heavily on someone else to grab or restrain the target, and the Deranged Jester prefers to work alone. The basic Fey bloodline ability is Fairy Dust, which affects the target's perception if they fail the will save. Circumstances where the Deranged Jester would use this ability would include as a ranged opening or as an escape option. Skirmish Strikes helps close in foes that are just outside of reach and to minimize wasting of actions. But how this feat really works in the Deranged Jester's kit is after a successful feint, he can step back and throw the dagger at the target. With the returning rune, the Deranged Jester can make another throw attack and potentially apply sneak damage if the feint was a critical. Light Step helps the Deranged Jester in his preferred terrain of the forest and underbrush, able to move through the area unimpeded to take advantage of other abilities such as Forest Stealth to quickly lose his trackers. Tactical Debilitations further enhance the debilitations unlocked at level 9. Giving the option to remove reactions can hamper some enemy strategies and abilities in combat, allowing the Deranged Jester more free reign across the battlefield. Instant Opening is a range feint ability. This allows the Deranged Jester to keep at range, throwing his dagger and moving about to waste enemy actions trying to close in on him. And finally, Perfect Distraction, the ultimate joke in the Deranged Jester's kit. A decoy to keep foes preoccupied and some in a false sense of security, allowing him to escape or come round for a sneak attack. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, leave a like and subscribe. Also comment your thoughts on the Deranged Jester below. Till next time.